Hello everyone, welcome to Stoic Dialogue, ancient philosophy for the modern mind.
Where we transform philosophy into deep dialogues that can change your life.
Today,
We're taking a deep dive into the enduring wisdom of Stoicism,
guided by
the texts you've shared,
Seneca's letters to Lucilius.
and stories from the lives of figures like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius.
It seems you're seeking ways to apply this ancient philosophy to the anxieties of modern life.
Indeed, and it's fascinating how these ideas
Born centuries ago,
still hold such potent answers to the very human struggles we face today.
whether it's grappling with uncertainty or finding the strength to face difficult situations.
Stoicism offers a framework for resilience and purpose.
You know,
Sometimes
I find myself getting so caught up in things I can't control.
work deadlines,
The opinions of others.
even just the daily frustrations of traffic.
It can feel like a constant battle.
Where do the Stoics even begin to address this feeling of being overwhelmed?
They start with a simple yet powerful concept.
The dichotomy of control.
Seneca, in his letters, reminds us that much of our suffering comes from trying to control what is inherently outside our grasp.
So instead of fighting against the tide,
We should focus on what we can actually influence.
I have to admit,
That's a bit of a shift in mindset for me.
it is a shift, but a liberating one.
The Stoics believe true peace comes from focusing on
Our thoughts
emotions,
and actions.
the internal world where we have true agency.
That makes sense.
But honestly, it sounds easier said than done.
I mean,
Seneca was tutoring Nero,
a Roman emperor.
known for his...
Let's just say challenging personality.
How did he manage to apply this principle in such a high-stakes situation?
Seneca's situation was indeed a pressure cooker.
Imagine the weight of guiding someone so powerful, yet so volatile.
But instead of fixating on changing Nero,
He focused on what he could control,
his own integrity, his advice,
his inner response to the chaos of the court.
that takes incredible fortitude.
It makes me think of Michael J. Fox and his response to being diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Instead of being defined by his illness,
He chose to focus on his attitude, his advocacy work.
his commitment to living fully.
Precisely. Accepting what we cannot control doesn't mean giving up.
It means redirecting our energy to what we can influence.
Fox, like Seneca, embodies this beautifully.
So for our listener who might be grappling with similar feelings of overwhelm,
How can we start applying this dichotomy of control to our own lives? It's one thing to understand the concept.
but how do we actually do it?
The Stoics were big on practical exercises.
One that might be helpful is keeping a control journal.
Each day, jot down the things that bothered you.
Then ask yourself,
Is this within my control?
if the answer is no.
Consciously practice letting go of that worry.
Okay, so it's about training our minds to identify and release the things we can't actually change. What about those situations where we know we're going to be tested?
Like, say, a stressful meeting at work or dealing with difficult family dynamics during the holidays.
For those scenarios, the Stoics recommend premeditatio malorum.
In essence, it's mentally rehearsing how you'll respond to potentially frustrating situations before they happen.
Imagine that difficult meeting.
Picture yourself staying calm, breathing deeply.
And responding with reason even if things get heated.
So it's like giving our minds a mental workout to build up those emotional muscles.
I like that. Now, throughout our sources, there's this strong emphasis on virtue as the foundation of a truly fulfilling life.
It seems like the Stoics are saying that external factors like wealth or status are ultimately fleeting.
They are indeed.
The Stoics believed that a life built on virtues like wisdom, justice, courage,
And temperance.
these are the true building blocks of happiness.
These qualities endure even when external circumstances crumble.
It reminds me of the story of Socrates.
Even when facing death, he refused to compromise his principles.
He chose to live and ultimately die in accordance with his deeply held beliefs.
A powerful example of virtue in action. Socrates understood that true fulfillment doesn't come from clinging to material possessions or social approval.
But from the integrity of one's character,
But here's the challenge.
how do we apply this in our modern world, where it often feels like personal gain comes at the expense of ethical behavior?
I mean, those choices aren't always so clear-cut, are they?
They're not, and the Stoics recognize this complexity. They would urge us to weigh the long-term consequences of our choices.
Does a short-term gain outweigh the potential cost to our integrity or the well-being of others? Remember, a virtuous life, even amid difficulty, ultimately leads to deeper, more lasting fulfillment.
It's about playing the long game, focusing on the kind of person we want to be rather than the fleeting rewards that might tempt us off course.
And speaking of inspiring figures, Nelson Mandela's story comes to mind.
After years of imprisonment, he chose forgiveness and reconciliation over revenge.
Mandela's commitment to justice and his capacity for forgiveness,
Even after enduring such profound suffering,
is a testament to the power of living by one's principles.
it makes you realize that the path of virtue often requires immense courage.
But it also seems like it requires small, consistent actions rather than grand gestures.
Is that something the Stoics emphasized?
Absolutely. They believed that virtue isn't something we achieve overnight.
It's built through daily choices.
Small acts of temperance, patience, generosity.
These seemingly insignificant gestures, practiced consistently, shape our character over time.
It's like that saying, character is built in the small moments.
But with the demands of modern life, it's easy to get swept away in the busyness of it all. How do we create space for this kind of intentional living?
The Stoics were advocates for simplifying our lives.
They believe that by identifying and letting go of activities that drain our energy and don't align with our values, we create space for what truly matters.
So it's about being mindful of how we spend our time.
And making conscious choices to prioritize activities that nourish our souls and bring us closer to the kind of life we want to live.
Precisely. By decluttering our schedules and commitments, we create space for reflection,
For connection.
for the pursuit of virtue.
And that, for the Stoics, was the path to true fulfillment.
You know, it's interesting how this idea of simplification applies not just to our personal lives, but also to the often chaotic world of work,
Our listener has included sources about Stoicism in the workplace.
which suggests they may be looking for ways to apply these principles to their professional life.
That's a great point.
Work can be such a source of stress and anxiety.
Deadlines, demanding bosses, difficult colleagues.
It's easy to feel like we're constantly battling forces outside our control.
How do the Stoics suggest we navigate these turbulent waters?
Well, they'd remind us of that fundamental principle we discussed earlier.
The dichotomy of control,
We can't control the actions of others,
the shifting demands of projects.
or the unpredictable nature of the market.
But we can control our responses to these external forces.
So it's about finding that inner space of calm amidst the storm.
But what does that look like in practice?
I mean, it's easy to say don't stress.
But when you're facing a tight deadline or a difficult client,
How do you actually apply that stoic detachment?
it starts with awareness
Recognizing when we're getting pulled into that vortex of anxiety.
and asking ourselves,
What is within my control in this situation?
perhaps it's about communicating clearly, setting realistic expectations.
Or seeking support from colleagues.
So it's about shifting our focus from the things that are causing us stress to the actions we can take to address the situation effectively.
Precisely.
And remember, the Stoics also emphasized the importance of virtue in all aspects of life.
Including the workplace.
Honesty, integrity, fairness, a strong work ethic,
These qualities not only make us better colleagues,
but also contribute to a more ethical and fulfilling work environment.
it's a reminder that our character is constantly being shaped by the choices we make, even in the seemingly mundane aspects of our work.
And that brings to mind another challenge of the workplace.
Dealing with setbacks and failures,
It's inevitable that we'll make mistakes, encounter obstacles.
or experience disappointments in our careers.
How does a Stoic mindset help us navigate these rough patches?
The Stoics had a fascinating perspective on failure,
They saw it not as a reflection of our worth.
but as an opportunity for growth and learning.
Instead of dwelling on the negative or blaming others.
They encouraged us to view setbacks through a lens of objective analysis.
So it's about asking ourselves,
What can I learn from this experience?
how can I use this setback to improve my skills or approach my work differently in the future?
Exactly.
And importantly, it's about separating our sense of self-worth from our performance.
A setback at work doesn't diminish our inherent value as human beings.
That's a powerful reminder.
It's easy to get caught up in that cycle of self-criticism and doubt when things don't go our way.
But the Stoics are reminding us to be kind to ourselves.
To view these experiences as stepping stones on the path to growth.
And you know, one of the things that can really derail us in the workplace is that constant sense of comparison and competition.
It's easy to get caught up in the keeping up with the Joneses mentality.
Always striving to be better, faster, more successful than those around us.
How does Stoicism help us break free from that exhausting cycle?
That's such a relevant point.
In today's hyper-connected world,
It feels like we're constantly bombarded with images and stories of other people's success.
it's easy to lose sight of our own values.
And measure our worth against external standards. What's the antidote to this social comparison trap?
The Stoics remind us that true contentment comes not from external validation, but from living in accordance with virtue,
They would encourage us to shift our focus from comparing ourselves to others.
to striving for excellence in our own endeavors.
So it's about setting our own internal standards for success, guided by our values and our own definition of what constitutes a meaningful and fulfilling life.
Precisely.
And it's about recognizing that we are all on our own unique journeys.
Comparing our chapter 2 with someone else's chapter 20 is a recipe for dissatisfaction.
We each have our own timeline,
Our own challenge.
and our own definition of success.
This is so resonating with me.
I've definitely fallen into that comparison trap.
And it's exhausting.
It's like the Stoics are offering a path to greater peace of mind,
By reminding us to focus on our own lane.
our own race.
And remember, they also emphasize the interconnectedness of all things.
They believed that we are all part of a larger human community.
And our actions have ripple effects beyond ourselves.
So while it's important to strive for personal excellence,
It's also essential to consider the well-being of others.
so it's not about isolating ourselves in our pursuit of virtue, but finding ways to support and collaborate with our colleagues.
Recognizing that we are all in this together.
Exactly. And this Stoic perspective can help us create a more harmonious and fulfilling work environment.
One where competition is tempered by a sense of shared purpose and mutual respect.
This has been so helpful.
I think we've uncovered some really valuable insights into how Stoicism can be applied to the often challenging world of work,
It's not about pretending that stress doesn't exist.
but about finding ways to manage our reactions
Focus on what we can control.
and act in accordance with our values.
Abs-
And it strikes me that these same principles can be applied to another area of life that's often a source of both great joy and great challenge.
Our personal relationships.
That's a great transition.
It's easy to see how the Stoic emphasis on controlling our reactions would be relevant in relationships,
After all, we can't control the actions or words of our loved ones.
but we can control how we respond to them.
Precisely. And remember, the Stoics also emphasize the importance of seeing things from multiple perspectives.
They believe that everyone is navigating their own unique set of challenges and perspectives.
So when conflicts arise in our relationships, it's helpful to remember that we're not dealing with a villain.
But with another human being who is doing their best with the tools they have.
It's about extending grace to others just as we hope they would extend it to us.
Exactly.
And the practice of premeditatio malorum can be incredibly helpful in navigating difficult conversations or potential conflicts.
So before a potentially tense conversation,
We might imagine different ways it could unfold and think through how we want to respond in each scenario.
this way we're less likely to be caught off guard and react impulsively.
Precisely. By mentally preparing ourselves, we can approach those conversations with greater calm and clarity, even if things get heated. And remember, the Stoics were adamant about the importance of virtue in all areas of life.
Including our relationships.
Honesty, integrity, loyalty, kindness, patience, forgiveness.
These are the qualities that nurture strong and healthy connections.
It's a reminder that the way we treat those closest to us is a reflection of our character just as much as our actions in the workplace or in public life.
But relationships can be tricky even when we're striving to be our best selves.
Yeah.
How do the Stoics suggest we navigate the inevitable ups and downs that come with human connection?
Well, they'd remind us that true fulfillment comes not from expecting others to meet all of our needs or to conform to our expectations.
But from cultivating a sense of inner peace and contentment that isn't dependent on external circumstances.
So instead of trying to change our partners, friends, or family members,
We focus on managing our own reactions and expectations.
and we remember that every relationship is a dynamic, evolving entity.
There will be times of harmony and times of discord, times of closeness and times of distance.
The Stoics would encourage us to embrace the full spectrum of human experience within our relationships.
Knowing that even the challenging times can offer opportunities for growth and understanding.
This is so valuable.
It's like the Stoics are offering a path to greater peace within our relationships.
By reminding us that we can't control the other person.
But we can control how we choose to respond to them,
And importantly, they viewed relationships not as sources of validation or fulfillment.
but as opportunities for growth and learning.
Each interaction, whether positive or challenging, can teach us something about ourselves, about others.
And about the nature of human connection.
It's about approaching our relationships with a sense of curiosity and openness.
Recognizing that even difficult experiences can offer valuable lessons.
And this Stoic perspective can be incredibly liberating.
It frees us from the pressure of expecting our relationships to be perfect or to meet all of our needs.
Instead, we can approach them with a sense of acceptance and gratitude.
Appreciating the unique gifts and challenges that each person brings into our lives.
It's a beautiful way to reframe our expectations.
And cultivate more fulfilling connections. But, at its core, Stoicism is about finding that inner sense of peace and contentment.
Regardless of external circumstances.
It's a philosophy that can guide us through life's inevitable ups and downs.
Helping us weather storms with resilience.
And savor moments of joy with gratitude.
You've hit the nail on the head.
That inner stability, that sense of equanimity amidst the chaos of life,
is rooted in the Stoic belief that true happiness lies not in acquiring external possessions or achievements,
but in living a life of virtue, wisdom, and self-control.
It's a reminder that true fulfillment comes from within, from aligning our actions with our values.
And living in accordance with our highest principles.
And this Stoic perspective can be incredibly empowering, especially in a world that often tells us that happiness is something to be chased or acquired.
It frees us from the constant pursuit of external validation.
And allows us to find contentment in the present moment,
regardless of our circumstances.
It's a beautiful reminder that we already have everything we need to live a fulfilling life.
It's just a matter of cultivating the right mindset.
And making choices that align with our values.
And speaking of choices, the Stoics were keenly aware of the role that wisdom plays in navigating life's complexities.
They believed that wisdom isn't just about accumulating knowledge,
but about developing the ability to discern what is truly important.
To weigh the potential consequences of our actions.
And to make decisions that lead to genuine happiness and well-being.
So it's about honing our judgment, learning to distinguish between what is fleeting and what is lasting.
And making choices that align with our long-term goals rather than our immediate impulses.
Precisely. And the Stoics believed that cultivating wisdom requires constant practice and refinement.
It's not a destination we arrive at, but a journey we embark on throughout our lives.
So how can we, as modern-day individuals seeking wisdom, embark on this journey in a way that's relevant to our lives?
What steps can we take to cultivate this Stoic wisdom?
The Stoics offered a few practical suggestions. One is to study the wisdom of those who have come before us.
Whether it's reading the works of Stoic philosophers, exploring other spiritual traditions,
or seeking guidance from mentors or role models,
we can learn a great deal from those who have navigated life's challenges with wisdom and grace.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
There's a wealth of accumulated wisdom available to us if we're willing to seek it out.
And beyond reading or listening,
it's important to reflect on what we learn.
How do these teachings resonate with our own experiences?
How can we apply these insights to our own lives?
It's about turning knowledge into understanding.
And then translating that understanding into action.
Exactly. And another key aspect of cultivating wisdom is paying attention to our experiences.
Each interaction, each challenge, each success, each failure offers a valuable opportunity to learn and grow.
So it's about approaching life with a sense of curiosity and openness.
Recognizing that every experience, whether positive or negative, holds valuable lessons. And importantly, it's about being willing to course correct when necessary.
The Stoics recognized that we all make mistakes.
That we all have blind spots.
And that our understanding of ourselves and the world is constantly evolving.
Precisely.
That ability to reflect on our experiences, to learn from our mistakes.
And to make adjustments to our course is an essential element of cultivating wisdom. It's striking how this idea of constantly learning and adapting resonates with our modern understanding of growth mindset.
It seems the Stoics were ahead of their time.
In recognizing that we are all works in progress.
Absolutely. The Stoics believed that the pursuit of wisdom
is a lifelong endeavor.
It's not a destination we reach.
And a path we walk, constantly refining our understanding of ourselves.
And the world around us.
And this brings us to another key element of living a fulfilling life.
The search for purpose.
In a world that often feels driven by external achievements.
And fleeting trends.
How can Stoicism help us discover a deeper sense of meaning and direction in our lives?
The Stoics were clear on this point.
True purpose is rooted in virtue.
It's not about chasing fame, fortune,
or fleeting pleasures,
but about aligning our actions
with our core values
and striving to live in accordance with our highest principles.
So it's not so much about what we do,
but about how we do it.
It's about bringing integrity, compassion,
and a sense of service to all aspects of our lives.
Precisely. And they offered a few guideposts for discovering and living our purpose.
First, we must identify our core values.
Those fundamental beliefs that shape our worldview and guide our choices.
So it's about asking ourselves those big questions.
What truly matters to me?
What do I stand for?
What kind of impact do I want to have on the world?
Once we have a clear understanding of our values,
The next step is to align our actions with them,
it's about making choices both big and small.
that reflect our deepest beliefs and aspirations,
It's about closing the gap
between what we say we believe,
and how we actually live our lives. And that can be challenging.
especially in a world that often pulls us in so many directions,
It is a challenge.
but a worthy one.
But the Stoics believed that living a purposeful life,
Isn't about achieving some grand, predefined goal.
but about embracing the journey itself.
It's about finding meaning and fulfillment in the daily pursuit of virtue
It's about those small acts of kindness, courage,
and integrity that we bring to our interactions with the world.
moment by moment.
Exactly. And it's about remembering that purpose.
Isn't something we find out there somewhere?
It's something we cultivate within ourselves.
Choice by choice.
And this brings us to another crucial aspect of navigating life's complexities.
Resilience.
We live in a world where setbacks, disappointments.
And unexpected challenges are inevitable.
How can Stoicism help us face these difficulties with grace and strength?
The Stoics would remind us that true strength lies not in avoiding hardship.
But in learning to navigate it with wisdom and composure,
They believed that while we can't always control what happens to us,
we can always control our response.
so it's about finding that inner space of calm amidst the storm.
About choosing how we respond to those external forces that threaten to throw us off balance.
And importantly, it's about recognizing that even in the midst of difficult circumstances,
There are always things we can control.
our attitude, our perspective,
Your choices.
it's like that Viktor Frankl quote.
Between stimulus and response, there is a space.
In that space is our power to choose our response.
In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
A perfect encapsulation of the Stoic mindset.
And they offered practical tools for cultivating this resilience.
One is that practice of premeditatio malorum, which we touched on earlier.
Mentally rehearsing challenging scenarios and our desired responses.
So by anticipating potential setbacks or difficulties,
We can mentally prepare ourselves to respond with greater calm and clarity when they inevitably arise.
precisely. It's like giving our minds a dress rehearsal for dealing with adversity. And another powerful tool,
Is reframing our perspective.
instead of viewing challenges as insurmountable
The
obstacles
Stoics encouraged us to see them as opportunities.
for growth and learning.
So it's about asking ourselves,
What can I learn from this experience?
how can I use this challenge to become stronger, wiser?
Or more compassionate?
And that shift in perspective can be transformative,
It allows us to approach adversity not with fear or resistance.
but with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to embrace the lessons it holds,
You know, it's interesting how this connects to the idea of finding joy.
even in the midst of difficult circumstances.
It seems paradoxical.
But the more I explore Stoicism,
The more I see this thread of joy woven throughout.
it is paradoxical, isn't it?
But the Stoics believed that true joy stems not from external circumstances.
But from an inner state of peace and contentment,
It's about finding joy in the simple things, appreciating the present moment,
and cultivating gratitude for what we have.
even amidst challenges.
So it's not about waiting for things to be perfect to experience joy.
It's about finding moments of joy.
In the midst of life's imperfection,
Precisely. And the Stoics offered some practical guidance for cultivating this inner state of joy. One practice they emphasized,
was mindfulness.
paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
So instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future,
We bring our full awareness to the here and now, savoring the sights, sounds, sensations.
and experiences of this very moment.
And another key practice is cultivating gratitude.
The Stoics encouraged us to take time each day to appreciate the good things in our lives.
No matter how small they may seem,
It's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have,
from what's wrong to what's right.
from what's missing to what's present.
And this simple shift in perspective can have a profound impact on our experience of joy when we focus on what we're grateful for.
It opens our hearts to the abundance of goodness that surrounds us, even amidst challenges.
It's a reminder that joy isn't a destination,
It's a way of traveling through life with our eyes open to the beauty and goodness.
that exists in every moment.
And this Stoic perspective on joy can be incredibly liberating.
It frees us from the constant pursuit of happiness, from the belief that we need to acquire more, achieve more.
Or be more in order to experience joy.
Instead, it teaches us that true joy is available to us right here, right now.
if we choose to embrace it.
This has been such a profound and inspiring exploration of Stoicism. We've covered so much ground.
From the importance of virtue and purpose,
To the power of acceptance and resilience.
to the surprisingly joyful nature of this ancient philosophy,
It feels like a rich tapestry of wisdom.
woven together with threads of practical guidance for navigating the complexities of modern life.
And as we conclude our deep dive, I'm struck by how relevant and practical these Stoic principles remain.
Even centuries after they were first articulated, it's a testament to the enduring wisdom of this philosophy.
And its ability to guide us toward a more meaningful, fulfilling,
And resilient life.
I couldn't agree more. And for our listeners who are eager to continue this exploration,
I encourage you to delve deeper into the works of Seneca, Epictetus,
and Marcus Aurelius.
and to see how these timeless teachings can be applied to your own unique journey.
And remember, the true power of Stoicism lies not in simply understanding these principles.
But in embodying them in our daily lives
It's about making choices both big and small.
that reflect our commitment to virtue, wisdom.
And joy.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you found this exploration of Stoicism both enlightening and empowering. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Stoic Dialogue, ancient philosophy for the modern mind. See you next time.